What's happening, people? Thanks as always for passing by the channel, much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. Don't forget as well, please, to like and share the videos. Thank you very much if you do that. It's very much appreciated. Boxing, it is back, and I'm talking about it again because I've not spoken about it for a while. To be honest with you, there was just not many fights where I just wasn't really interested in talking about them, to be honest. There was Tyson Fury versus Dillian White. But I kind of knew Tyson was going to win that fight, and to be honest, I've been moving about quite a lot recently, had a lot of stuff going on, jobs, applications, interviews, holidays. It's not been very easy for me to talk about stuff, had a little bit of a dark patch, but back now, boxing's back, and I'm ready to talk about it again. Starting off with this fight this weekend, AJ versus Usyk 2, but also we've got stuff like Conor Ben Eubank Jr., Triple G versus Canelo, the trilogy. There's a few fights in the UFC I'm wanting to look at as well. So I will hopefully be back and making more videos on my favourite combat sports, starting with this one. AJ Usyk 2. I remember watching the first fight, and I did watch it again recently, and my God, what a performance by Usyk as a heavyweight. I mean, seriously, the guy is just unbelievable. One of the best pound-for-pound fighters I have ever seen, certainly right now. AJ is looking a lot smaller and leaner in some of the photos that we've seen of him, which is similar to the rematch he had a few years ago with Andy Ruiz. Probably because he's going to try and replicate that win where he did outbox Ruiz. I mean, that's a fair approach to take, but let's face it, Usyk is no Andy Ruiz at all. I mean, Usyk is a fully fledged heavyweight now. There's not this kind of like, is he good enough to make heavyweight, or is he just a cruiserweight? He's a fully fledged heavyweight, undefeated champion, and let's face it, Andrew Ruiz came to that fight looking fat and overweight and didn't take it seriously at all. Usyk now looks focused. He's looking big as well. That's one thing I've noticed. He's a southpaw as well, and there are very few of them at heavyweight, especially, so getting sparring for southpaws at heavyweight is really difficult. So I can imagine when it comes to the weight of them, looking at them side to side, I reckon they'll be quite similar in terms of the weight. There's probably only about half a stone or stone maybe between them. So that's why I think this one's actually even more interesting than the second one. AJ's got new faces in his corner in that guy, Robert Garcia, I think his name is. He's known for making his fighters very forward, moving, very aggressive. So see what impact that'll have. I think this will be a very good rematch and far better than AJ's rematch with Ruiz. Like I said, Ruiz came into that fight completely out of it. Looking at them during the press conference, I think they're a lot closer in size now, as I said. And I think Usyk is another one. He is going to be more ruthless, which I know a lot of people aren't really thinking about. So this fight is going to be really determined by the early rounds. Whoever wins the early rounds, I think AJ is going to try and go in for the knockout. He's had that, he's been talking about killer instinct and stuff like that. Use his strength, use his size, use his range. But if he can't do that, then he has to be prepared for a 12-round war, because, we saw last time, I think, he overlooked Usyk a little bit because of the kind of question marks around Usyk. We were like, he's a cruiserweight, how's he going to manage at heavyweight? He went through Chisora fairly comfortably in that kickboxer, but that was like the first real test, and that he almost surprised everyone, with how good he was. So this one, he has to be prepared for not just 12 rounds, he has to be prepared for like 15 rounds, given how hard Usyk works and how difficult it is to manage, because Usyk will be aiming to get into his rhythm as early as possible, because once he gets into that rhythm, he becomes very, very difficult to deal with, especially if he finds his range early on. Because if AJ allows Usyk to get in any sort of rhythm, it's going to be a tough night for him, a very tough night for him. Remember, this guy literally did not stop moving through that entire first fight, and AJ's gas tank just couldn't handle it. So that's why I think the early rounds, if AJ can break Usyk down, maybe he'll be able to score a knockout late. I don't think AJ can win on a points basis. Whereas if Usyk is able to get his rhythm, find his range, he can then dictate the fight and eventually land some bombs in the later rounds. And you never know. There are people out there who are saying that Usyk could knock AJ out. I think it's possible. He wobbled him in the last fight, in the last round. So what's to say that he can't do it? and AJ actually did get helped by the bell going early. Let's remember that. So this one is actually quite hard to call. You know, I remember calling the first fight saying I think AJ would win by a late knockout, but that was far from what happened. Then the fight was also tougher to call because I hadn't seen much of Usyk. There are some people, like I said, who think Usyk can knock AJ out. There is part of me that thinks that. Usyk definitely wobbled him. If AJ turns up and engages, though, closely with Usyk, he could land some bombs and potentially knock him out. So I think it all depends on AJ's gas tank. So that pressure from Usyk, whether he can deal with that, if he can engage him early, land some big hard knocks, Usyk maybe backs off, you know, and it turns into a bit more of a kind of game of chess. But then again, if it goes to a game of chess, there's only one winner, and that's going to be Usyk. So, you know, it's a really tough fight to call. But if it goes the distance, I'm going Usyk. If it goes for a knockout, I'm going AJ, maybe, or Usyk. But I am slightly favouring Usyk to win, but I think AJ has got a plan up his sleeve, so I'll go AJ by a late stoppage. Let's see what happens tomorrow night. Thanks for watching, peeps. I hope to be back doing more videos. I'm enjoying it. I've been training a lot recently, so I have been, you know, missing out on that as well. But it's good to be back talking about boxing. Enjoy the fight tomorrow night, and I'll see you on Sunday for my review. Peace.